Hey YouTube, let's talk about my first few months as a full-time freelance photographer. Still feels weird saying that. I'm sure I'll get used to it soon. So I want to talk about what's been going good, what's been going maybe not so good, or like challenges, kind of my expectations and how things are a little different, what I've been up to, what I've got coming up, personal project plan stuff maybe as well, anything for you guys. And I'm going to finish, it came to me then, I'm going to finish answering the questions that you guys asked me on my Instagram last week, which I've got screenshotted and saved on my iPad, ready to go. So let's talk about first my expectations of going full time. I thought that I'd have all the time in the world to do so many things, and it hasn't quite translated to that. Now I've done a lot of things in addition to that. Me and my family have moved from one side of Wales to the other, set up a new house, had to decorate a new house and all the stuff that comes with it, and that just takes a lot of time up. So in these 4 or 5 months since leaving my job, I have had to juggle a lot of extra things that I won't need to going forward. We're sort of set up, comfortable here now, and I'm ready to sort of get stuck in with everything that I need to. So that's good. I just thought there'd be more time still. There's not enough hours in the day. Lots of people say that, but I truly understand it now. I have a sense of freedom in no longer having an employment contract, if you like, needing to be in a working state at a certain time on a certain day and all those things. And it does feel quite liberating to let go of that. And just the convenience of not living the weekday, weekend lifestyle exactly. This I like already. And I can see instantly that I don't want to go back to the weekday, weekend lifestyle, like the 9 to 5. So that's something that's really hit home for me. In terms of what's been going good, I've had work. I've had work with quite a few clients, and I've been relatively busy. Let's talk about very quickly what they've been. So I did a shoot with Skoda where I drove to Milan from here, and we shot sort of the grand tour through. I picked up Rob on the way in London. We went through France, Switzerland, finished in Milan. It was a very kind of rushed trip, and I'd do it again maybe next year. We will see. So that was great. I shot for Sony Xperia here in Pembrokeshire, which I'm very proud to have done. It was for the latest colour iteration of the Xperia handset in red. And shooting that in Pembrokeshire was great. Something that's on my sort of mission pad is to do more jobs locally here and both promote where I live, which I think has lots of potential for brands and clients and huge projects even. And I want to continue to try and showcase Pembrokeshire specifically and beyond to clients and potential clients. So that was great to do. I have shot for Orient Star, these guys that make the watches that I've been wearing in a lot of my videos recently. I have a diver watch as well, which you may have seen posted on my Instagram. Big fan of both of those. And I have some more watches coming from them, but let's not jump into that. I have shot for Hattvika Lodge in Luferton, where I went on a trip with Darren and Rob, and it was amazing. I mean, Luferton has the epic scenery that just takes your breath away, but it also has the everyday things of people and how they live there, which I love to document, photograph as well. So that's sort of my photography in a nutshell, epic and everyday, and Luferton just has that in a very special way. Both of those things out there are special. I think that's what I'm trying to say, and I definitely plan to return. It would be amazing to say next year, but you know how it is. Yes, I will go back at some point, maybe in a different season, but not where there's just constant night. That was not for me so much. Just adding on to that, probably because it's dark enough here in Wales most of the time. So I do like to go places where there is more light than here. I digress. What else have I been up to? I have been printing quite a bit with Trade Canvas Prints, local place here in Pembrokeshire, Tenby more specifically, and them guys have helped me get over a hurdle that I've never got over before with printing, and that is twofold. One, finding the paper that works for my style of photos, because I edit my photos. Yep, let's not get into that conversation, but I think it's clear. And finding a paper that worked for that was quite challenging, but we've got there, I believe, with their help. And also editing for paper versus a backlit screen. Now you can calibrate your screen for paper, but I didn't do that. And we've come up with a way, Trade Canvas Prints have come up with a way to apply changes to my photos, which get them to pretty close between paper and a screen. Obviously that does depend on lighting in your room, but I've got some new prints up here. And when I put the big light on, they look great. Trust me. So prints, that's phenomenal. And next year I will be making prints available to you in some way, shape, or form. Also presets. I get a lot of questions about presets, and I take this as a serious compliment. I get questions at least every week, sometimes daily, and I want to release my presets to those who are interested in them, but I want to release them with guidance as to how I use them, because I don't have any really that I use as click, done. I mean, that would be nice, but I kind of enjoy editing, and I have starting points with my presets I will take to a finished result. And I'll make adjustments bespoke depending on the image that I'm working with. So if I've shot an image on a beach or I've shot an image in a town, I might use a similar starting point preset, but I'm going to make different adjustments to those different environments and colors and textures and things to get to my final result. And that's kind of a high level version of what I would want to share along with my presets. So I thank you very much for your patience on those. I do get a lot of questions on my Instagram, as I said, and I will get to them. This brings me to the Q&A section of this video. The questions came in via my Instagram last week. Of course, if you have more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments on this video, and I will get to those. But I'm going to grab my iPad. I've not prepared for them, not really read through them. We're just going to fire through them now and see what happens. Starting from the first page. I'm always interested in gear chat brands and lenses you use and why. Gear chat. I shoot Sony. Would I shoot anything else? Probably not. Canon cameras are great. Fuji cameras are great. Leica cameras are great. There is another brand that starts with an N. Can't remember what they're called. But Sony make the best cameras for me, I believe. If I consider, but my A7R5 I always talk about because I don't really shoot sport or really fast-moving wildlife or any of that stuff. It's a 61 megapixel monster that's like really compact and small. Sony's lenses are smaller than the competitors' lenses and perform better in my opinion and have incredible autofocus and all the things that I mean, all cameras are great now, but Sony just fit for me best. Like for example, I'm going to pack to go to London, then Mallorca, back to London and home over the next few days. And I'm packing 2 full-frame Sony bodies in my bag without even thinking about it because they're so small and compact. Whereas if I shot, let's say Canon or Nikon, their cameras are just bigger, which is an issue. I feel like if they're going to be bigger, they have to be significantly better to justify being bigger. But anyway, I digress. I shoot Sony. You asked me lenses, okay. In order of most used to least used, 50, 24, 70 to 200, 14. 14 is definitely least used, like a special circumstances lens. 50 is my most used with 24, 70, 200 for anything that needs it. Ultimately, I prefer primes to zooms, but I could make endless videos on just focal lengths and lenses because I'm somewhat obsessed about them. That was a long answer to the first question. I apologize. Most well-paid type of assignment. Ooh. I mean, technically, when the brand is a global brand needing a significant number of visuals for a significant number of areas, meaning social, web, print, for an extended period of time. That would be more well paid because of the scale of the job that you're providing to. But the question is well paid. There are some social media jobs that I've done whereby, and most of my work is social media, I'm not saying anything else, whereby the amount of time that I've needed to put in to achieve the job to the standard I'm happy with, at no compromise. For some collaborations has been just to use images that I've already shot, create a post and put it out there. So when I consider the amount of time gone into those jobs and the amount paid, if you talk about being paid per hour, it could be argued that some of them are the most well paid, technically. Yeah, so there's 2 answers. How has the recent traveling been for projects? Hectic, fun, stressful, etc. All of the above, pretty much. So for a lot of the travel I've had to do, I've flown from London, which is not ideal when you're in West Wales. There are 3 or 4 closer airports probably. That just hasn't happened logistically. But I don't mind it. So tomorrow I'm going to jump on a train to London. I think it's 5 hours to get there. And then I'm in London to shoot for the day. Then I'm flying to Mallorca the next day, then back. Then, yeah. But the long train rides are fantastic for admin, edits, and I'll edit my work on the train on the way home, then step from my front door, a little bit more relaxed, not knowing that I've got this huge mountain of editing or culling to do, and I'm quite enjoying that at the minute. And I've not really been traveling much more than once a month where I can help it, so that's been fine, and that kind of model I can see being the case going forward. Next question. How did you start to get work, and what were you charging? What were you charging? Okay, so I started to get work by shooting things that could showcase to potential clients what I could do for them. And in the most early days, I would shoot stuff for free, especially if it was for things that I could shoot and add to my portfolio. And there might be cases where I do that now as well. If there's a particular thing or opportunity that can help me have something that I can use as evidence to prove what I can do, for certain things, I'd even invest my own money to do that, because that's playing the long game, ultimately. So I remember shooting for Woodwatch in the early days for free, but obviously they gave me the watch. But and then the stuff that I shot for Woodwatch, I used and shared with Holzkern and shot paid work for them. And I think my very first sort of paid work was probably in the 500 region for a post. Not necessarily with Holzkern. I don't know if I should be sharing the exact specifics of certain jobs, but for certain brands in the beginning, and then not long after that, I was able to get things into the 4-figure range for collaborations ultimately. I think when you consider that you need to be on location, the time, the conversations with the client, the shooting, the editing, your value, all of those things, it soon makes sense to get to these figures. In the beginning, it's very complicated working all of this out. I could talk about this in another video again, but I once heard a podcast which gave a super basic model to consider your pricing. I'll share it in the way I remember it. Calculate how much you want to earn over the year. Maybe do this twice, like lower and upper. Calculate how many hours you want to work a week. Divide it into that. That's your bottom book number. You might offer that to your local cafe if you're going to shoot some stuff for them, because they're just going to use it on their little social media in the local area, that type of thing. And then if a huge brand contact you, a global brand, you might times that figure by 10 or 20 or whatever. So you have this scaling kind of model. That's the gist of it. Hope that helps. What experience made you learn, grow the most during these months freelance? I'm going to go back to what I said about the time, and it just doesn't seem like I have this abundance of time that I thought I would have. I've not quite worked that out. That's the best answer I've got to that question right now. I'll have a better answer maybe in next time I do one of these videos. Which tool do you use to edit photos? Lightroom, Photoshop. At what point did you feel like you made it to a standard you were satisfied with? Ooh. Never, but I'm kind of okay with this. So I have some photos that I like, some that I quite like, but I am my biggest critic, and when I spend time looking at photos that I like, I just start coming up with things that I want to critique and improve and get better next time. But again, I'm comfortable with that. My motivation is for the photos I haven't taken yet. And I kind of remind myself my best photos are ahead of me, and I want to go and make them. That's just my mindset and my answer to that question. Can we have a photography course from you? I can't see a full course in the foreseeable future, but there will be some advice along with the presets that I release next year concerning how I set my photos up to edit and how I edit. So partial, like minor, I suppose. How do you compose and expose your image? Composition is trial and error, I think, for the most part. I think I know it's a short answer, but trial and error and reflecting on your photos, looking at them, studying them, understanding what you like, what you don't like, how things interact with one another. I see photography as this challenge of translating the 3D world into 2D. And obviously there are kind of limitations, tricks, tools, and ways in which you can do this your own way. And trial and error is the way to get there. Exposure. I trust my camera's meter, so I mostly use that to expose my photos, but I will over or underexpose somewhat depending on the scene. If the details that I care about most in the photo are in the shadows, I may overexpose my photo accordingly. And if the details that I care about most or significantly are in the highlights, I might underexpose my photo, though I don't underexpose too often. Hope that helps. Photos or reels? Photos. I could just stop there. I'm a photographer first. I'm dabbling with videography, but I'm a photographer first, so my answer is photos. I would assume that if someone was a videographer first, they would say reels. Feel free to expand on that. If you had to give one piece of advice, what would it be? Quite simply, take lots of photos. I take lots and lots of photos that I just delete, and they still help me because it's practice, and it's investing time. What's that thing about 10,000 hours to something? Google it. It's like 10,000 hours practicing something gets you to X standard. Not sure if I fully buy in on that, but it's a thing, so work towards it. How do you manage to determine a reasonable workflow to handle? I don't. I say yes, and then I make it happen, and I sometimes don't sleep too much, and and then after all of it's done, I try and relax. So that's how I get by. And I will work up until the last minute to get things as good as I possibly can. That's always been the way. I was that person back in uni that would be cramming, they call it, like studying into the late hours the night before an exam or something like that. What was something that you wish someone had told you or advised you when you started freelancing? I don't know yet. I'm still waiting for that moment. Maybe I'll share that when it comes. Tips for beginners and how you'd get into it. Such an open question, but if you mean photography, let's go back to my question of just get out there, take photos, and keep at it with whatever you have. If you only have a phone, just get out and shoot with your phone, because the fancy camera will not necessarily help you make better composition. Now, I don't really like using phones myself because I like some tactile buttons and just something to interact with a bit more. But I most definitely will use my phone if I don't have another camera with me, and it won't stop me from thinking about composition and where things are on the frame and all things that just contribute to the photo being better when I'm using the phone. So get out there, shoot. You do seem somewhat passionate about cars. Do you have any plans to expand on car-related photography? Well, I'm going to Mallorca to shoot more cars or car in 2 or 3 days. So the answer is yes. But I don't know if the volume of car photography that I shoot will increase. It both depends on car opportunities and other opportunities and what I decide to do ultimately. I love classic cars, but I feel like that's a different thing. There aren't too many car brands out there that want me to shoot their classic cars to like promote them. It would be nice, but yeah. And obviously I have a thing for certain old cars. Yeah, so maybe some more of that. I like that. What percentage of your income did you generate with photography when you decided to go full-time? Good question. I don't know. When I had a full-time job, I would some months not do photography work and I'd just shoot stuff for myself, and I'd be more than happy to do that because I didn't have to, because I had a full-time job. And then some months I'd be juggling multiple jobs and might technically earn my salary times 3 or so, something like that. But on average, I don't know as a percentage. I would say that, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to really dig into some numbers for that. Any questions that I have missed? I think that wraps that up. Also, share with you something else I'm shooting. The Suray 50mm full frame 1.6 times anamorphic lens. This thing is really cool. Gonna be shooting that over the next month roughly to create something, and probably going to be using that for YouTube as well, because especially in the YouTube space where we're not just watching it on phones, I think that's going to come in really handy. So that wraps up about everything that I could think to throw at you in this video. I'm not going to leave it a month till the next one. That's a commitment that I'm making here now, which I'm going to have to be accountable for now I've said it. And I thank you very much for your patience, for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a good day.